Hello, and thank you for tuning into this Injurati studio interview at Asian Utility Week 2016. I'm Denise, and with me is Simon van der Jagt, and he is the CEO at Nowi Energy. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem, happy to be here.
So we're going to be discussing smart cities and smart homes. It's predicted that by 2022 the average home is going to contain about 500 connected devices, but these are obviously going to be limited by power constraints. So what is Nowi's solution to this issue?
Okay. So we are using Wi-Fi as a power source for sensors. So you can actually get a little bit of energy from the Wi-Fi signals, enough to power these really efficient sensors. So right now if you have 500 connected devices per household, at that point it doesn't work anymore to change batteries every week or so. You need really a new solution for that. So that's why we're using Wi-Fi.
Wow, okay. Has the solution actually been delivered to the public yet?
So we don't have a large-scale commercial product. We made first prototypes. These first prototypes, we made them together with the largest smart thermostat maker in Europe. So we're sort of testing with them to see how we can best roll it out.
Okay, so that's in Europe right now?
Yeah.
And have there been any successes from that, or any developments that you'd like to share?
Yeah, we're going to go for a new version now. So the biggest thing is dimensions, really. So right now it's about this big, so we're making it about this big. So that'll just make it much more easier to implement. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So Simon, which sector are you actually targeting at the moment? Residential, commercial?
So for us, since we're using Wi-Fi, I mean, what you'll find is that Wi-Fi is the most present and most ubiquitous in areas where there's a lot of people. So residential makes the most sense for us, and in terms of Internet of Things, that kind of brings us in the smart city, smart home space.
Yeah, all right. And which region is probably the most exciting for your company in Asia right now? Which one would you be targeting first?
We've been in Singapore quite a lot, and I think this is a really interesting sort of testing ground for the rest of Asia, and also just Asia in general in terms of regulations and things like that. It's actually quite easy to set this up here. So I think Singapore is a good starting place, but there's a lot of places actually in Asia that are interesting for us.
Okay. And how can utilities get involved with the solution?
Right. Well, it kind of depends on what you want as a utility. So I think there's a few approaches. We can actually solve a problem for them. So in terms of gas metering, for example, there's a lot of problems with product lifetime. So that is a very sort of concrete solution. But if they just want to have a larger presence in general in the Internet of Things, because it's inevitable that they will be in this market, then instead of being very reactive, they can be proactive and be one of the players in that market and tackle the power supply problem.
This could be an extra revenue stream for them, right?
Yeah, potentially it could be, I think, yeah.
I mean, how far can they take this? I mean, what?
Well, I think that there's a limited amount of energy you can get from Wi-Fi, but if you have to imagine that within 10 years there'll be 200 billion connected devices. So on that scale, it does really start to add up.
Yeah. My last question to you. What advice would you like to give the energy sector, perhaps specifically utilities, within this region when it comes to the connected home or connected city?
I think in general the utilities get a little bit of a bad rep as being very conservative and sort of reactive, and like I just said before, I don't think it has to be like that. They can be on the forefront of this and actually be the one to be the innovators and make those first steps. So I think being early adopters is important here. That puts them a little bit ahead of the game instead of needing to respond 5 years later because their business model is disrupted. So yeah, they can be front runners.
Simon, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
I will.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning into the session. If you're wanting more insight into Asia Utility Week, please go onto our website, injurati.com, for other playlist information. Thank you.